Yeah, yeah. That's conscious parenting, conscious kids. You just give them a spanking and all of it. Go back to the old days. Well, that's funny that I started with that. Who would spare the rod, spoil the child, or something like that. That old phrase from way back when. So conscious parenting, conscious kids. Welcome, everyone, in live stream from Dublin, Ireland, one of my favorite places in the world. This is a really interesting class for me because my second oldest child, my oldest daughter, has just moved to Dublin from San Francisco, where we live, and she's going to school here. So I have one more day, and then I'm gone. And she's gone, and we're not. She's going to be in a totally different country. So that's when conscious parenting tools are often required. Is when stuff like, you know, the empty nest thing they talk about, or when your kids go off and do things that you're not going to really be there for. And what's really funny is I got one question in for this call, and it's about that. So I will get into that. What I like to ask with every class I teach is if you can get anything out of this class, what would it be? And that will bring up an energy that you guys want to speak to, or that the class will start creating too. And what you guys know, the questions you want to answer, the things you want to have more information about, will be where this class is going. So a little history of this class, where it kind of comes from. So any of you have no background with Access? Nothing. How'd you guys hear about it?
Not better.
I've been looking at something to do with consciousness, and I came across the website. And,
that's so cool.
Saw somebody called Dr. Glenn Rice on it.
That's me.
I told her, I know I didn't. I stayed on it then. I had her talking about it. She was waving her hands, contact consciousness.
You should see these guys.
And they said, scan. So then I said, well, if it's a scam, it's a big one, so I'm not come on. And then Andrea, my daughter, as a daughter, she's only 3 years. Okay. And then, so I saw all the mistakes that they like that we 3 children, not me and Andrea, it's not right.
Right.
Andrea's man. And I just said, is there a way maybe I could, but the grandchild, because I see she's actually teaching me all the time. And I can see all when I'm talking about the past, she's not in the past. I don't want to teach her about the past. I want to keep her. Yeah.
That's cool. Cool. So you're brand new, walked in this classroom. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's wonderful what you just said. You saw me online, and I was waving my hands and being weird. It's a total scam, really. Okay, so I'm going to say some weird stuff. If you guys have questions, you know what I'm talking about, because consciousness. Let's just start with that. Like, what is consciousness? Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. It's really, Access consciousness is really about tools to create awareness for you, awareness about everything with no judgment. Because everything we judge, keeps you from having awareness about it, because nothing that doesn't match your judgment can you ever see. Right? So if someone says, oh yeah, when I was in college, it was the best years of my life, then that's all you get. Those will be your best years of your life, because you'll never be able to have an awareness of anything greater, because you've already decided and made a judgment and conclusion about that. So what we do is we have this clearing statement. So Access was founded by Gary Douglas and Dane Hare, Dr. Dane Hare, and 25, 30 years ago now, starting with some body work with the bars, and Gary got all this information about if you get free of this stuff, if you change the stuff, you have no point of view and no judgment, no conclusions about anything, you will be free of, you know, the confines or limitations of this reality. And he started using it and teaching it, and it changed his life, changed his kids' life. He started teaching it, and people's lives were changing, and it's grown from him doing a small class with people in a room in New York to, I don't know how many people we got, 100,000, 200,000 people around the world, 178 countries. So it's really amazing stuff. It's tools that you can use for you to create more awareness about anything and change anything you want to change. And I'm teaching the class about parenting. So what can we change about parenting? I found this work about when my youngest was going to be 14 when she was a year old. Immediately my life changed. Their life changed. I had more ease. Parenting wasn't easy. necessarily. It was kind of a frustrating job, 3 kids, single mom, sort of. My ex-husband from Galway, which is why my kids love Ireland and why my daughter's moving here. The marriage didn't work, and I became pretty much a single mom. It was really a crazy time for me. And these tools allowed me to have an ease, a life that worked for me, and empowered my kids to know what they know. So we'll do clearing statements at this. That's the weird thing. And I'm going to say this thing, good, bad, right, wrong, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond, which is short speed for a whole bunch of different ways we block energies, block our judgments in when we decide something's good or bad or right or wrong. We can't see anything beyond that. And that's kind of what that's saying. And if you want to know a lot more about it, there's a website, theclearingstatement.com, with a lot of information. I won't go into total details, but if you guys have questions, please ask, okay? So do you guys have any questions about parenting right off the bat? You guys are all fried from the class. Then we'll just go into it. So I started teaching this, well, the founder of Access, Gary Douglas, had seen me work with my kids running around the classes, because in Access, all kids get to come for free, which was a huge gift for me as a single mom. I didn't have to find babysitters. I didn't have to pay for them coming. People were really open to having that energy of children around, because they don't have as many judgments, and they tend to contribute massively. Like you were saying with your grandchild, right? They show us stuff and teach us stuff, so they've always been included in Access classes, which for me was probably one of the greatest gifts as a single mom, because I could bring them to class. But the gift that was really amazing was what changed for them and how they started contributing to me and showing me a different possibility with parenting. So I asked Gary, you know, what could I do to make more money? And he said, teach parenting classes. And I was like, huh, I could teach parenting classes? I don't even like this stuff. I don't think I even wanted to be a parent, and I have 3 kids. Right? This stuff happens, exactly. That's kind of how the first one showed up. It just happened. Like, oops, we need to be parents. And 3 kids later. You know, it's funny. My daughter was just with her granny in Galway last week, and her granny said to her, you know, if there's fewer than 3, it's not really a family. It's like, well, that's a different point of view, because 3 kids in America is a very bizarre thing. People, when you get to number 3, people start looking at you like you're weird, like you're a breeder, and what are you doing having this many kids on the planet? In Ireland, it's totally different, and we were always here in Ireland. My son was like, I want this many brothers and sisters. He didn't get that many, but he got a couple more. He got 2 more sisters. So Gary suggested that I teach parenting classes, and I was like, no, I don't really want to do that, but he usually has some awarenesses about some really cool stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, what would it take to do this parenting stuff? And there was a 7-day, which is a 7-day class in Access coming up, and I was like, well, what if I took one of my kids to that? I was going to go. They're amazing classes where you're really, like, with a whole bunch of people choosing in a really cool place, and we rent out a whole hotel resort place, and it's 7 days of amazingness. And I was like, well, what if I bring my son? Kind of was light, a little light. And it's like, okay, maybe the older 2. Now the money starts getting really weird, because I'm flying all, kids to and paying extra, and I barely have enough money to even consider going to this class and staying in a resort. But it went, and I just went, all 3. And it was like, the entire universe just cracked open. Like, it was so light and expansive for me to have all of them come. And what's really cool is at that point I was like, okay, no matter what it takes, me and all 3 of my kids are going to go to this class. And then what happened is the universe started contributing, because I chose something greater for me, something greater for the kids. And when you choose greater, everything around you, the molecules of everything, can start contributing more to you if you're choosing more. And I got back child support, because he had stopped paying everything. But he decided, my ex-husband decided to do work for the U.S. government, DARPA, NAPA, and they weren't going to let a deadbeat dad, someone who wasn't paying, work for them, so he had to pay. So I got this big check in the mail. It was just like, wow. And then I went and looked for flights online and saw this little line that said, sometimes first class tickets are the same price as coach. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I put in, there was not that many tickets, and I put in first class, and I got 4 seats on this flight to Costa Rica for the same price as Coach that were first class, and that we'd never even flown first class before. And as I was at this class, people started walking around saying, "Oh my God, it's so easy for you. You're such a great parent." And I was like, "Well, what is it?" And someone said to me, "You have so much ease with it." And I was like, "Whoa!" And like this energy showed up, and tears were in my eyes, and someone had just acknowledged something about me that I had ease with that I had never acknowledged myself. So there's things that all of you guys and our children have to do that they have such ease with, but you never think it's easy because it's easy for you, and you never value it. And someone had shown me this thing that I was doing, which I never acknowledged, which is there was somewhere that I had ease with being a parent that I could then show other people, because those things you do with ease that no one else can do, you don't value, but other people always value it because they don't do it with ease. So how many things do you have that you've never considered as valuable that you have such ease with that could actually create more money for you? Okay, so everything doesn't allow you to perceive from me and receive everything that is. You understand and create it all.
Yes.
Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, fun and talk, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So that's the clearing statement. And you may notice a lightness or something when it's said or not. And that's okay. You guys online are welcome to ask questions and unmute yourself if you can. I think I can hear you if you do. So any questions, anything? How many parents are in here? Okay, cool. Well, was that a question?
I'm parent, but I can put a question.
You do have a question or you don't?
Yes, I have.
Okay, yes.
I,
I could feel it. It was tugging at me.
I know jealousy is a destructor in plant, but between my three daughters, there is such a huge jealousy.
Yeah.
On my youngest.
Okay, how old are they?
8, 15, and 16.
Okay.
And
Well, is it envy or jealousy or something else?
maybe the education in family, maybe.
What do you mean by that?
Maybe all the people around that.
Oh, okay.
Difficult to have three
Daughters. 3 daughters. Of course they're going to fight and be jealous of each other. That's what girls are supposed to do. Okay, so when we project those things on kids, you project that point of view, you're supposed to do this, they're gonna be that way, oh, they're gonna be jealous, oh, they're gonna fight, oh, there's ages are so different, they're gonna not be friends, or you need to have kids close together so they can have this, or all those weird things that are put onto families and put onto kids, those projections and expectations that they're gonna do that. Like they're expected to be that way, it's projected on them, they perceive it all the time, they start to be that even though it has nothing to do with them. Right? And one of the things you can do is clear all the projections and expectations, and you can just do that, like any of them that you've put on or that you've bought from other people. Because and a great question asked is like, truth, are they jealous of each other? No. And this is this light and heavy tool, which is great to have for everything in your life. If it's true for you, it's light. If it's heavy, it's light. That's it. If it's true, it's light. And what is lightness? So lightness is when, you smile, you giggle, it feels like everything expands, your body feels lighter. That's one of the ways it shows up. Those are some of the ways it shows up for us. Heavy is something we're all pretty familiar with. It's like when something's not true for you, it's heavy. That's a lot of this reality. When teachers in school made us feel heavy when they said we didn't know something that we did know, there's a lot of that. We're more familiar with the heavy, and in this reality, we tend to gravitate towards the heavy. What's true for you always makes you feel lighter. And if you just get that tool, that's the only thing you take out of this class. What's true for you is light. You can go through your whole life choosing greater for you all the time if you're always choosing what creates more and has that lightness to it. So it doesn't feel like that they're actually jealous of each other, but that's being projected on it. So everywhere you bought, Mom, that they were going to be or they should be or they had to be from everything that's projected on you as a mother, that they were going to be jealous of each other. Do you want to destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And then all the projections and expectations that have been put on them around that. It's not true for them. What that creates is a judgment of them, separation of them from their friends and family and each other, judgment, rejection, separation. And they would start to reject themselves, reject their siblings, because they're supposed to be jealous. Projections always create these kind of things: judgment, rejections, and separations from you, your body, your life, your family, whatever that is. So all of the projections and expectations that were put on any of you guys when you were kids about what you should be, like you were the nice one, you were the smart one, you were the cute one, you were the not cute one,
The good one.
the good one, the bad one. You were the troublemaker. I know you were, Rachel. The one that took care of everyone in Oregon somewhere. What other ones you guys got? What was projected on you? You were the what?
Dumbest.
The dumb one?
Yeah.
The dumb one.
The dumbest?
Yeah.
This is so not true about you. That's funny. So all of those projection expectations of what you were supposed to turn out to be and act like, that you tried to do, couldn't do, rejected doing, resisted doing, always felt like you should do, and then everything that showed up that looked like any of that, you were doing it. That had nothing to do with you. We just trying to create all of that.
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all men, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. Are there any questions in the Skype, Kim?
There was the one from.
No, there's a lot of people on here, and it looks like there's a question.
Yeah, so Martine says, I feel a lot of responsibility for my 2 kids. It feels heavy for me, and I cannot enjoy them from the heart, and they are 2 angels. Feels for me like I have to do, like I must.
Well, she's a mom. That's our job. Or a parent or a dad. I mean, that's our job. We have to be responsible for our children. And parenting is supposed to be easy work or hard work. Hard work. If you're not working hard and you're not saying, oh my God, I've given my whole life up for my kids. It's so much work being a parent. And if you're not struggling and in pain and suffering being a parent, you're not a good parent in this reality. Like, if I just went, oh my God, it's so easy being a parent, I have so much ease, people think I'm a weirdo. Because this reality is not, none of our cultures are about having easy parenting. You work your fingers to the bone as a parent. And with those points of views, can you ever enjoy your children? Or do you always have to be proving how you're working hard and you're struggling and how painful it is and awful it is and what a trouble they are? Or they cry all the time. I never get any sleep. I mean, just from the beginning with childbirth, here we have a lovely woman here that has 2 babies in her belly. I mean, from that moment, it's like if you have ease with childbirth, you're considered a freak. You're supposed to go tell your terrible, awful childbirth story. Everyone will give it to you. The second you start talking, the second you're pregnant, every woman in the world that's had a baby tells you how awful their birth was and all the terrible things that are going to happen to it.
Just since we're talking, you have the 25-minute birth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Half an hour she was born.
That's
So much ease.
How could you do that? How could you have an easy birth? You're just blowing everyone's paradigm about how much work this is going to be.
Jesse was 10-4, and I was walking around the ward 10 minutes afterwards. Yeah. So,
You guys are all.
yeah.
So everything you guys decided had to be hard work about parenting so you could get parenting right, or do it right, or fit in, or look like a good parent. We just try and upgrade that.
yeah.
All those points of views we got. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if you don't have to be responsible for your children?
Well, for your parents.
Right.
Good question.
Right.
Gotta look after your parents.
From this place of heavy, responsible action means responding appropriately when it's required. To respond appropriately. Like being responsible for your kids, if they're running in the street, you're not going to let them run in the street. You're going to make sure they have food and clothes and all the other things and respond to what's required. That's being responsible. This is not something that's heavy or hard work. That's actually ease. We all know how to be that, especially with kids. Kids kind of make us be that. They let us know when they require us, and you're aware of it. So one of the tools I love to give out in this class for parents, because we tend to do this whole hard work idea that we have, that it has to be hard work. To be a good parent, you have to work hard. You have to like be proving it. If you go to the schoolyard and you hear all the parents talking, this is the kind of stuff you hear. Is how tough the kids are, from teenager down to toddlers and babies, and how much it's been, how tough it is on them. That's how we prove we're good parents here. If you weren't coming from that point of view, and you were being what was required, so if you have that point of view that's hard work, you have to do more than it's required to prove it all the time. So if you were being what was actually required for your kids, it's actually much easier. And so I give this tool out to ask, with this light heavy that I gave, what's light, what's heavy, to ask, is there anything required of me, of my kids right now? And I have parents do this for 2 or 3 days, all day long. Whenever they come up, think about it, or write it on a Post-it note, ask it every hour. From the day they're born to, there was one of the questions is, you know, my kid, this woman's kids have moved out of the house. She's doing some access stuff. She wants to know how to contribute to them, but they're in college in another country miles away, which is funny because my daughter's just going to be that way too. And this is one of the things she can use also is there anything required of me for my kids right now? Yes, no. What's light, what's heavy? Now, what most parents find surprisingly is there's almost nothing required. Even when they're babies, it's rarely that they get a yes. And when they get a yes, it's like really obvious. Oh, they need food. They want a hug. They want me to hold them. They want me to carry them around. They want to call. I'd be across the country and I'd go, oh my God, so my kids need something. What is that? There's something required of me. And I'd call them up and they just had something that went on, a conflict with their dad or something was going on in school, and they needed to talk to me. And it was usually a 2-minute conversation. And they're like, okay, Mom, I gotta go play my video game. And I'm like, but I haven't talked to you for days. You're my baby. That's all that was required. So if you ask this question, you start to get aware of what's required and what you're doing that's not required.
Totally.
And it's a really different reality. I mean, the changes that I've seen in parents with this hard work thing. And then, you know, you guys are all infinite beings. Parents are actually infinite beings. We have needs, we have desires, we have things we want to create, we have lives we want to create, and we like so often stop all of this stuff for the kids because we think all this stuff is required of us. And it's so often not true. So then all of a sudden this space opens up in your life that you can start actually, what do I require of me? What do I desire of me? And start creating your life. And I'll tell you, if a parent is creating their life and a life that works for them, and the kids see that, guess what the kids get? They get to see a future where they can create a life that works for them also. If you have parents that are going around going, it's so hard work, it's so tough, it's this and this and this, they're trying to prove the hard work it is, that's what kids see and that's what they expect they're supposed to be when they grow up. And it, you know, keeps going and keeps going. If you start breaking that chain of that, your kids will go, oh wow, I can create my life and have it work for me also. I can have ease in my life. I can have great things in my life. And I could be a parent too. So what if you could be a parent and have an amazing life? A phenomenal life.
There's what happened to me every time he all the time. Wait until you have the children, you're not having to sleep now because
Build that sleep up.
Yes.
Because there's a sleep quota.
that's how we got back to sober and go on holiday. Now go on holiday and I'm like, oh Jesus.
Like the lights over, isn't it, when you have your child?
Yeah.
That's so not true, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's so many people that buy that point of view. And then you create it. Your point of view, this is the cool thing. One of the great things about Access to know this is your point of view creates your reality. You are the creator of your reality. All of it. Good, bad, ugly. You create it all from some weird point of view you have about something. And if you change your point of view, you change your reality. So I had a lot of these points of views, not all of them, because I did have this ease thing that I was kind of unique to me, that I had an ease with parenting. I never wanted to give up my life. What I was surprised about is the whole world around me didn't quite go along with that. Like I couldn't just bring my kids in front pack into every restaurant and have it be easy. I still had to carry babies around in car seats, but I did travel with them and I brought them along. That was how I made it easier. Had an ease with it. So everything that is, you guys, all of that, you have to give up your life. Everything that's being, see, these are projections and expectations that if you buy them at all, you'll start creating them or resisting and reacting. You'll either align and agree with it or you resist and react. Either way, you got it.
At the moment, I'm kind of.
That's resisting and reacting to. So is any of that light? You're gonna.
Very heavy now.
So what I just said, if it's heavy, it's a lie. So that's not true for you. But we can do heavy. We're great at that. We can take that heavy thing that's a lie for us and work really hard to make sure that's true. That we can create that way. And then, you want to go out to dinner with your husband and the kid cries and you go, see, I don't even get to go out to dinner anymore. I'll never get a vacation. Instead of like, okay, what would it take to go out to dinner tonight? I had one, so in Access, we've got energy poles. I'm kind of ADD, guys, so I'm going everywhere. Stop me if you don't know what I'm talking about. If I'm totally lost. I'm like, jing, jing, jing. So my daughter was 2, and I had a date. Moms can have dates. Single moms can have dates. And she started crying like crazy. She was hysterical. She was a toddler doing one of the rarest of the rare temper tantrums she's ever done, just sobbing and sobbing. And I'm like, see, I can't even go out. My life's over. I'm never going to have a date. But I'm a bit scared. Which the crying wasn't even mine. It was probably hers. And there's these energy flows they teach in the foundation class at Access. So at Access, we have the bars classes, the first class you take, and then there's foundation, which is a 4-day class. So I've taken that class, and they talk about these energy flows. And when someone's really needy and cry, not necessarily kids, but anybody in your life that's needy, what you do is you take energy from the entire universe, pull it through you, and flow it at them, right? And that fills them up. And I was like, oh, there was this tool I used. I learned in this class the other week. And I just started pulling, and then like a fire hydrant, just like, I didn't put my hands out, but it was like, I'm flowing energy. And she went, stopped crying, sat up, she was sitting on the bed and was like, what was that? What did mom just do? And I went out. Had a totally nice time. She never cried. She was never upset. That's what was required of me. It wasn't required that I stayed home with her. It wasn't required that I canceled my date. It wasn't what was going on is I was pulling myself out of her universe to go out. I'm going to sneak out and go on this date. She'll never know I'm gone. Which we've all seen mothers at a daycare center or fathers at a daycare center do.
Sneak out.
And then the kid just starts screaming as soon as they feel them sneak out and pull away. Or we do it with our pets when we leave. We pull, and our pets bark at the window. This is a great tool so that doesn't happen. So the only thing that was required is that I stayed present with her and flowed her energy so she knew I was around. And then it was like, I could go out and have a nice evening. And she was great. But how much easier is it, me canceling everything and going into the story, I have no life, I'll never have a life. We're just flow her some energy and she's okay. That's conscious parenting. And what that's also is creating is kids that have an access to consciousness, because she has that tool now also. And she also has an awareness that if mom's body's not in the room, mom's still present in her reality. So one of the things that kids almost always require is that we never pull our energy out of their world, wherever they are. So the mother that's talking about her kids outside the country and what I'll be doing with my kids is I don't pull my energy. I'm always aware of them. And with this question of what's required means that I will know when it's required. And, my oldest son is now in college in San Diego. He's 6-7 hours away. Something's required about every 3 or 4 weeks. His car breaks down. What do I do? Go to the mechanic. Okay, thanks. Conscious parenting, right? Pretty simple. That's kind of what it's been. He actually, I actually was a little bit more required. And it was fun because now it's fun to be required. When he's 23, it's like, oh, I'm still a mom. He still requires something of me. They still need me. He had the battery was dead in the car. He hadn't been driving. He was taking the bus in. I was like, you need to go get a new battery. I think it died too much. It wouldn't jump start. Go in, have it taken in, get a new battery. He was moving for an internship, so he had to drive his car about 10 hours to this new place. He goes into the shop, and they're like, oh, this is broken, this is broken. It's like a $3,000 bill. The car's not worth that much. And this is what he really required of me. Was I called up the mechanic and was like, oh my God, well, there's no way he can afford this and I can't afford this. So we're just going to have, can it stay there for a couple hours so we can get a tow truck to take it to the junkyard? Because we can't pay for this. And I just was coming in for a battery. And the guy goes, hold on just a second, let me talk to someone. He comes back, he goes, well, actually the alternator just wasn't plugged in and this thing and this thing. And then I said, so this is a cool tool that I'm going to give you that you can use with parents. So it's like, so Truth, if this was your car, you know, and you were just driving around the city and you were a college student, what would you do? What would you get fixed? And the guy goes, oh, I'd probably just replace the battery. And I went, okay, cool, we can do that. We'll get the battery replaced and he'll come up and pick it up in a few hours. So the question, this thing, Truth, that I said before, is great with kids. It's a great tool. All parents should have it for everything. When you say truth, the person either tells you the truth, whether they want to or not, or if they're lying, you know it. It's obvious that they're lying. They tell you the truth, or you know they're lying. So with kids, it's really great, especially for teenagers. Like, did you do your homework? Truth? Did you do your homework? They'll go, yeah, and they'll like smile or something, and you'll know they lied. And then I would ask a question in those situations, instead of getting mad and forcing the homework on them, that they had to say, so, okay, you didn't do your homework tonight, so if you don't do your homework tonight, what's happening tomorrow? Can you see the future of tomorrow? What's that going to create tomorrow? What's that going to create in a week? Or this year, if you don't do your homework, what's it going to create? And my kids would look at it. They would look at what that was going to create, and sometimes they were like, shh. And they do it, because they could see it would be not what they wanted to create. Other times, they just ignored me and didn't do their homework. And most of those times, they'd come back and go, oh, yeah, you know what? No one did their homework. We didn't even have to turn it in. Or the teacher didn't grade that. Or something would be really easy. It's like, oh, they didn't actually have to do their homework. They didn't have to do this extra work and have a hard work life. That was actually creating more ease for them, and it wasn't affecting anything in their future creations. So Truth is a great tool. I have another one that was a video I put up online that's kind of fun, is that I have a neighbor that's house is a little lower than mine, and I don't speak to very much. And I came out one day, and every single little Pokemon, Polly Pocket little toy that existed in my house was on the neighbor's roof. So some kid had gone out there and they were throwing some, and I didn't know which of the three had done it. I just know one of them had done it. And I did not want to go over to the neighbor's house and go, my kids just threw all their toys on your roof. I'm not sure how to get them down. So I was like, kids, get out here. And I screamed and they came running out. Mom's freaking out. What is it? Their back was to the house. So I didn't say anything. And I just said, Truth, who did it? And right? And my oldest daughter looked right at the roof. So I knew it. Yeah, so it's a great tool to have. So what tools I've given you? What's required of me? Truth. What else have I given you guys?
Lighter heavy.
Oh, flowing energy. What was that?
Lighter heavy.
Lighter heavy. Okay, so you got a whole bunch. Another one is who does it belong to? Is a great parenting tool, but it's a great tool for you. In Access, we talk about this. Like 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions are not yours, which is kind of weird. But it basically, we're so much more psychic and aware than we've ever imagined. But you kind of know it. How many of you guys have ever knew the phone was going to ring or someone was going to call you before it happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just was at this interesting psychic science conference or something in California. And if you ask people, 80% of people say yes to that. That's how, 80% of the people interviewed or all have had that happen, where they knew something was going to show up or someone was going to call, or they thought about someone and the phone rang. That's awareness we have of the future. It's awareness that we have of other people, and of the thought that person said, I need to call so-and-so, when we heard their thought. Now this is happening way more than we know. We're way more psychic. We're like, we're sucking up all this stuff that we're aware of all the time. No one ever told us that when we were in school. So we always think these thoughts, feelings, and emotions are ours. So who does it belong to is an amazing tool. And if you just ask, who does this belong to, and it lightens up at all, even a smidge, or changes it all, it's not yours. Now what we will do is we'll have a thought or emotion or a feeling in our head, and we will come up with a story instantly to make sure we know it's ours. So if you can ask this as soon as they show up, one of the things is for 3 days, if you ask who does it belong to for every thought, feeling, and emotion, you start to know who you are. Now with kids, this is great. And it's a lot easier for me to talk to about kids or use it with kids. Like, who does that belong to? And they go, oh, it's not mine, it's yours, Mom, and I'll walk away. Or something like that. They get it. They don't like fight and resist it. It's too weird. Of course, all of my thoughts and emotions are mine. There's no way I'm psychic. Adults are more that way, but kids, it's pretty easy to use. So when they get sick, when they're upset, when they're hating school, it's a big one. They hate school. What kid doesn't hate school? Is that yours? Who does that belong to? I'd say to my kids, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go to school today. Wasn't my thing. It was some other kid next door waking up that didn't want to go to school. That was picking up. Fights with friends. When the teenage girls that all start to being evil to each other and mean, who does it belong to? Can totally ease that whole situation up sometimes and it goes away. But these are great tools for you too as adults to use. Who does it belong to? Great one. I'm trying to think of other ways. I asked my oldest daughter what her favorite tool I ever gave and used with her, and she said, who does it belong to is the best. And also when they're starting to feel sick. You know, right now school season starts and everyone starts getting their colds and the parents get cold and everyone gets sick. Asking who does it belong to can often change the symptoms right away because it might be someone else in the classroom that's feeling, and they sat next to them in class and it wasn't the virus that they caught, they just perceived the energy of the other person's body, the feeling of the other person's body, thought it was theirs and started creating this thing. So often sickness can go away by just like, who does that belong to? Is that yours? And I've asked my kids that question many times. Another tool for being sick is asking them what they're sick of. Which is great because often people that are getting cold and flu symptoms said, oh my God, I'm so sick of something a couple days before. And then your body will go, okay, if that's what you want, I'll figure it out. I'll get you sick. Mm-hmm. So with that one, what you want to do is say, okay, so what are you sick of? And they'll say, you know, you getting mad, chores, homework, something like that, friends at school. They have all sorts of things they'll come up with and you say, okay, just know that that doesn't work for you. And you don't have to make your body sick to know that it doesn't work for you. Just know it doesn't work. And then you can ask, okay, what would it take for that to change? Which is another tool. Great tool. Just open-ended questions, not looking for the answer. You're allowing, like I talked about at the beginning of this, with the whole universe contributing to you. So asking, what would it take for this to change in situations that aren't working and not looking for an answer? Because our mind is never going to come up with the hows. That story I said about, you know, my ex paying the child support and all that stuff, when I said, what's it going to take to get my kids to Costa Rica? I could have never choreographed that situation in my head. There's no way I would have come up with, oh yeah, he's going to go work for the government. It's going to change my life. You know, I'm going to get first class tickets. None of that would I have been able to come up with. The how it shows up when we ask, what would it take for it to change, is that's what occurs when you ask and you put that ask out there and everything contributes to you. But you can't choreograph and come up with that answer. So it's just an allowing. If you allow yourself to receive it, everything will contribute. The trick is to have, when you don't have any judgments or conclusions about how it should look, will get in the way. Because you may not see how the universe wants to show. Like if I didn't have the openness to say, to see that thing about the first class tickets, I would have never considered a first class ticket. But to be open to any possibilities, I was able to see that. So if you have no judgments about what you're asking for and how it should show up, you have more of a possibility of seeing all the different ways. It's not, I want to say the universe, but it's you. You are part of it. You're the question in all the ways that you're going to create how it shows up for you with everything contributing. You won't see it with judgments, conclusions, and decisions. That's why consciousness is awareness of everything with no judgment. Whew. Okay, I think we're done.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
So my eldest daughter is 24, and like she is so much fun and so much like joy, dancing, brilliant at clothes, amazing, like putting clothes together. I used to buy all my dresses for workshops and they would fit perfectly. And then she'd go into this like aggressive thing and be really dishonoring and very aggressive. Like
With you?
Yeah. And it kind of got amped up about last year. And my sister lives in the States, and my sister said, "What's going on?" Like, and I was like, she's been choosing this for a while now. So I went up to my mom's one day for dinner and it was really aggressive because she's an American now working, she'll be back in Ireland again in October. So I just said, you know what, Jess, I just cannot do this anymore. After being with her, it was like being pounded, like, you know.
Like physically hitting you or just
Oh,
yelling
she
and?
would push her, you know, no physical hitting, but it was constant disempowerment, degrading, just anything that she, it just went from being brilliant to, but this would be her pattern. We'd have a great time and then bam, something would change,
Okay.
do something. So I have to say, like, I do actually miss the fun because we'd go dancing or we'd go for a drink and a meal together and have so much fun with clothes and I really do miss her. You know, and yeah, what else is possible?
So when did it change? Or is it always, she's always had this kind of stuff going on?
Yeah, she's had it. Yeah.
Did it, so there's no age you can put to it or
I
something?
would say 13. Yeah, I know.
So what changed when she was 13? Besides teenagers.
She just got, like, the anger that she got never really went away.
Okay. So is it hers?
I know, I don't know.
Okay. Is she willing to change it?
No.
Is that true? Yes or no?
Truth, yes. I know that she is.
Okay. Well,
Oh, yeah.
that's a door that opens up, right? So she's
Yeah.
willing to change it.
Yeah.
So this is like, what would it take to change this? What would it take? Are you willing to ask, what would it take for this to work for me?
Yes.
To have a relationship with my daughter that works for me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of those things where you ask the question and the actual steps are not going to be something you're going to figure out. You're going to allow everything to contribute, including her.
Yeah.
So you're, what was your relationship like with your mother?
I was the mom, like, I was the carer. My mother's cooker broke, I had to get a new cooker. I cared for my mother for years. Like.
Okay. Did you guys fight like that? No. Like you and your
had
dad?
to dance, like, where she'd say, you're a saucy bitch, and I'd say, that's more blah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
And we haven't done that now for a long time.
Yes.
But that was the history, for sure.
So everything that you've created in your relationship with your daughter, based on the relationship you had with your mother,
Yeah.
would you be willing to uncreate and destroy all of that?
Absolutely.
Like all the ways you mimicked her,
Yeah.
medically mimicked
Yeah.
that relation, everywhere that relationship is that.
Template, like, is it?
Yeah, it's a different word. It's like the guidebook, which is
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah,
But that's
yeah,
a weird.
yeah, yeah.
Everywhere your relationship with your mother or her relationship with her mother, and as it goes past down the line, is the guidebook for how you should have a relationship with your daughter.
That's so funny because I was looking at that and every single, like, my eldest aunt had a really crap relationship with my grandmother, and my grandmother's eldest sister she didn't speak to her grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the family line.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just carrying it on. Being a good Irish daughter.
I'm fucking done with that.
Yeah. So everything that you're doing, because she's not here, we can't clear her. We can't, like, that's going to be her choice.
No.
But what's cool about this is often when you clear the thing in you that's the problem with you and your kids, it changes.
Yeah.
Even though you think they're the ones that are acting up, if you change it for you, and it can be really weird. So all of everything you've inherited and the guidebooks you've inherited in the family line from how mothers and daughters relate to each other in your family, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate it all?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, that's cool. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what's crazy about this is sometimes the kids just change because that energy's gone. Because two people have to create these relationships. Another thing you want to do, kids are changing all the time, so it's a little easier for them to do this, but you want to destroy and uncreate your relationship with anyone you're in a relationship with, but with your kids all the time. Like just everything about my relationship with my kids. Right now, can I destroy and uncreate all of that? So everything with your kids, even the ones in your belly, because you may have known them in lifetime after lifetime. And it might be not the first time you've ever had a relationship with your kids. You want to destroy and uncreate everything that is. Right, wrong, getting bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That's funny, Rachel. How often are you guys each other's mothers and daughters?
Oh, like,
Like, how many times has this
I get
thing been going?
thousands, yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, huh? So all the relationships you've had and all the way this cycle, like this continuous like loop you're always on.
Yeah, she thinks she's the mom, like, she,
Yeah, and you had that same thing too.
yeah. Oh my God, totally.
And all the lifetimes she has been your mother and you've been her daughter and all that other stuff to try and create all of that.
Yeah.
With your own parents and your kids, times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, talk, all boys and beyonds. Well, you know, no one teaches you how to be a parent. The only place you really have is how you were parented. And if that didn't work, you don't have a lot else to go with. And it just shows up. You're like, and I was talking about everything you resist, you know, you either align and agree or resist and react to. But if you resist and react to it, you get it. So if your parent's an asshole or something or crazy or it's not fun and you're growing up with, whatever your parenting was like and you're like, I'm never going to be like that. And then you catch yourself saying the exact same thing to your kids. You're like, I was never going to say that. I sound just like my mother. Right? But when you resist and react, you get it. You have to become totally aware of everything you resist and react to resist and react to it. So you get it just as much as if you agree with it. And it's subtler because you were fighting it. You don't want it. So you don't know why you got it because you had to resist it. When you went into resistance, you got it. Somewhere you had to align with it to even resist it. Resistance is never a good way to change things. Allowance is what's required to change things.
It's so funny, I wasn't aware of this until this conversation. 2 weeks before the last flare up, let's say, we were laying in bed in the cottage, I lived in the cottage, and I was in Cork, and we were laying just chatting about life and the whole family history,
Yeah.
you know. And we had probably one of the most intimate 2 hours that we've ever had. Like, I was just like beside her back, and she was just chatting to me. And it was like, after that, it was like, no, we can't have this. It was like, oh.
So can you have it?
Yeah.
True.
Oh, yeah. True. No, yes.
Okay, cool. So then what you want to do when things are going really well, like you're talking those things, you want to acknowledge it and ask for more of that. Like, how does it get any better than this? You guys, a lot of you guys know that too. How does it get any better than this? That question allows you to acknowledge it as something you like and then ask for more. And it's pretty easy. How does it get any better than this? Okay, and see what shows up, and then have allowances. She's a creator of her reality. She's going to choose what she chooses. This may not change for years. It may change the next time you see her, and that you're going to be okay. That you're going to be okay with whatever she chooses. You choose for you, and stay in the question of you wanting something greater and a greater relationship with her. And stay in the question, and if it changes, cool, how does it get any better? And if you have 15 minutes or 5 minutes, acknowledge that and be grateful for that 5 minutes. And if 10 minutes later it blows up in your face, don't stop being grateful for that 5 minutes. And know that when it blows up, it's like, this does not work for me, bye-bye. Bye, sweetie. And teenagers, well, I mean, she's not a teenager anymore, but this is not. Yeah. Around 24, 25, 26, those ages, our kids start to like us again. About the age of 11, after 11, you are never going to be the biggest influence in their life. Their friends are going to be. And then around 23 to 27, that age group, they'll start to like you again or acknowledge you a bit. So what's possible if you haven't considered?
Yeah, and can I ask you a question about Eva as well? Is that okay?
Yeah, and everything about oh my God, look what she's being and doing, whatever that bummer is in your universe when she's like, something about that.
She bullies Gareth 18 and he took some time, he's actually leaving school, he's going to coaching. The school's just not far, And she's like sending messages and it's like, did you get a job? What are you doing now? Can't believe you're not going back to school. And he's like, stop that, I'm not having this, you don't determine what choices I make. So I definitely had a bit of a charge with what she was delivering to him,
Okay. Can you have allowance for their relationship?
Yeah.
Kim, shush.
No, it's like,
Yeah. Okay. So our kids have their own relationships,
Oh, they do.
you know, kind of regardless of what ours are. They came in, they chose us as parents, and they chose themselves, and they don't have to like each other. How many of you guys liked your brothers and sisters? You do now? Yeah. When my youngest daughter was born, beautiful, blonde, fairy being, beautiful, you know, just like her sister. You know, all three of my kids were kind of like, what did their granny say, cut from the same mold. They all looked about the same. And I got another one of these beautiful babies. And her sister came over and saw her for the first time and looked at her, and it was like the energy. I didn't have the access tools then. The energy was like, how the fuck did you get in?
oh, wow.
And I'm like, ah. This was there before they were even born, this relationship. And it was really like, how did you get into my life again?
And then she's the tattoo
Of her, yeah, she does. She just, which I'm not happy with because tattoos are not my favorite thing. But yeah, my daughter, she got a tattoo, which, you know, cool thing, you know, of a rose, and her daughter's name, my youngest is named Roisin, which means little rose, and she got a tattoo. Yeah, so I was aware of their relationship, and then it was like, what can I do to, you know, when I got tools, it's like, what can I do to change this and contribute? And one of the things is I uncreated all their oath, vows, fealties, penalties, swearings, and commitments to each other in any lifetime. And I uncreated and destroyed all of that. And just the awareness of the weirdness there, and not me pretending they were going to be great sisters together. Being awareness of that she wasn't really happy when her sister showed up. And when she was a bitch, to her sister, I would let the youngest one, Roisin, know that it wasn't her, that there was nothing wrong with her about this, and that, you know, you just to be aware of your sister and don't push all of her buttons because she's going to get them pushed easily, and you're not wrong. So I allowed Roisin not to be the effect of that point of view, which made it really hard for Saoirse, my middle daughter, to hold on to. She couldn't hold on to her point of view about how much she disliked her sister when her sister wasn't pushing the buttons.
But it's so funny because Dara has said to me, he's like, you know, Mom, I have to learn not to be affected by this.
Yeah.
It's not about what Jessie does or what she says, it's about what my response is to it. And
yeah.
Yeah. So
see, what you want to do, like, uncreate and destroy all of your buttons.
Yeah.
That you have to anybody you're in relationship with. Because if you have a button, you have a question? Hold on one second.
I did more, but I want you to finish your thought. So.
Anywhere you have a button, that button is going, hello, hello, push me now, push. You're telling people to push it. So if you get rid of your buttons, then when they interact with you, those buttons aren't there to push. So all of the buttons you have to set you off, that you show everybody to push, and then they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. When you were like flashing the button at them. So we destroy and create all of that. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yes, online question.
Hey, Glenna, it's Michelle. So when you're talking about siblings, my youngest is 3 and my oldest is 8. So I get that part of this is my buttons because I was, you know, my brother's about the same amount older than me, then Rosie is older than Gus. But when she can be so mean to him, then that's sort of like protecting him because he's so little. And she can totally, you know, like outmaneuver him and be like really cruel, and, you know, and he idolizes her. So anyway, I was curious, or wanted to hear you speak more to that with that, the little older ones.
How much older is she than him?
About 4.5.
4.5 years.
Yeah.
So how much fun does he have creating that in her? Or how much fun do they have with this fighting? A little or a lot or none?
He has a lot.
How much fun does he have?
I'm getting not as much.
How much fun does he have creating her going crazy? Okay, so everything that is right now about what, like anything you, like he couldn't possibly. be having fun with this because he gets beat up by his sister? We just
Yeah, I can't get, like, if it's me versus what he actually is experiencing.
right. So, okay, let me backtrack because I kind of just jumped into that one.
Uh-huh.
So, do you get that he is also the creator of his reality?
Yes.
His point of view creates his reality,
Yeah.
and her point of view creates his reality, and they're creating a reality together. It
Right.
has nothing often to do with mom or dad.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
We're trying to make them all behave and be happy, and that's what they're always supposed to be.
Well, if they would go be mean to each other in the yard where I didn't have to be around it, I could live with that.
That's a totally different thing. You're not having fun with them fighting.
Right.
They having fun with their fight. I know.
Yeah.
You think,
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
and this comes up. I mean, there's a certain energy when parents talk about their kids fighting. That's not meanness between them. It's a game. It's like, can I get my sister to do this? To what buttons in my sister can I poke to make sure she's mean to me? So mom will do this, or dad will do this, or someone will do this, or this will happen to my sister. Not from a wrongness on either side.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you guys had brothers and sisters? Right? Did you fight with them?
Yes.
Truth. Was it fun?
Yes. No.
No.
No. No.
Not
No.
at all.
Not at all. Okay, and that's true. Like, there are not at all fun fights, but many of the people that I asked this would surprisingly say, "Yeah, I actually did. It was entertaining."
I get like both. You know, like there were the
What's
times. I get both. There were the times when it was fun, and there were also the times when I felt where it felt like abusive, where it felt like he was literally trying to suffocate me out of existence to some degree, you know, like at least energetically and sometimes even with the beanbag.
Right, and you can't see her face, but she's laughing through this whole thing. So it's to get clear on that with you too and with your kids. Because if we always go that the older one or the bigger one or the tougher one or the louder one or the angrier one is picking on the other one and not look at everything that's going on, it's really hard to change. Because the younger ones can, with a lot of joy, create the older one being an idiot and an asshole to them, so it creates something for them that they want to. Right? And it can be the other way, and you can have abusive older brothers and sisters also that are no fun to be around. There are people like that in the world. So be clear on what it is. Now, is your daughter abusive and mean to her brother?
No.
No.
Mean, yeah, but not, I mean,
Is
not
she
abusive.
disempower him and destroy him and crush his being?
Actually, that what makes me what I react to the most, to be honest, is not so much if she was just being, you know, whacking him around, but the constantly making him wrong. I mean, telling him he's wrong, whatever, you know, however he says something, whatever he chooses, the constant correction and she does that to me too. So that's
okay. So that matches way more the energy you're speaking to.
Right. Yeah. If they were just like yelling, picking and kicking, I could live with that and I could always just send them away. But that constant wrong making, and she does that with me a lot, and she does it with him. And it's kind of her way of being a lot of the time.
Okay. So she's trying to be right all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things you can do with people that are always making you wrong and trying to be right is just say, "You're right. I'm wrong. You're right. I'm totally wrong. I'm totally bad at this stuff. I'm really sorry. Thanks for letting me know. I had no idea." Can you teach your son that? Can you do it with her?
I do more than I did, and it's helped. And she hates it when I do it.
Yeah.
She recognizes it, and yeah.
Yes. If you don't resist and react to the wrongness they're saying and just don't buy it as real and don't try to correct them to stop doing it, it might get boring and it's not working.
Yeah. It hadn't occurred to me I might be able to start teaching Gus to do that even at 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Just being the energy. You're right, sister. I'm really bad at this. Thanks for letting me know. What would I do without you telling me everything about this? Because I'd never done it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that. That feels really.
What it does is someone that's making wrong, they kind of want that resistance reaction sometimes, or they want to be right about it. And these are ways to just stop it. You don't buy it as real. You just stop them doing it by saying, "You're right, I'm wrong." And it's tough when it's your kid, but there is another parenting tool now I'm going to give. So thank you for the segue into that. That was great. is willing to be a bad parent. Not that you have to be a bad parent, and no one in here is a bad parent or could possibly be a bad parent. You wouldn't have walked in this classroom, all right? Because you're choosing something greater. Bad parents don't. Bad parents don't choose greater. But if you're willing to be a bad parent, because no matter what you do as a parent, someone's going to judge you for it. Your mother-in-law is going to judge it. Your mother's going to judge it. The other parents at the school, your kids are going to judge it. My God, by the time they're 13, everything you do is wrong as a parent. They're going to judge you for what you wear and what you look like and what you say. And don't talk in the store and don't walk with me in the mall and all the other stuff they do. They're going to judge you. Oh, I'm about to lose my battery. Kim, I'm not plugged in for some reason. It's about to die. Something's not working. Sorry, guys. I will get back to it, but you will lose me in a second. What? Oh, it's there it is. Did that change it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was unplugged out here. This fell apart. So someone's always going to judge you as being wrong. So if you're willing to be a bad parent, then you can actually be a great parent. If you're willing to be bad at parenting, to be seen as bad. When I first moved to Marin is this really kind of uppity, wealthy, not uppity, kind of liberal neighborhood, part of California, but a lot of money there, highly educated families doing the perfect things for their children in the perfect neighborhoods with the great schools and all this stuff. And that's where we had just moved from Boston, where we were in Somerville. Some of you guys might know that part of Boston. So we moved there, and I got my daughter into preschool, and now I was in a mom where everybody, at the park swore and we're from Boston, and there were these moms, and now I'm with these, everything's organic and their kids are dressed perfectly, and how do I fit in here? And I remember going around the preschool and looking at the other kids, other mothers, what they put in their kids' snack boxes, so I could get it right. Because I didn't want to be a bad mom giving my kid the wrong snack. Now, it was simple. I was like, what are they? And there was no question about what my daughter wanted to eat, what would be fun. Did she even want a snack? There was no question about her. I just wanted to get it right, and I didn't want to be seen as a bad mom. Right? That would be the situation. Like, to be willing to be seen as a bad mom, I might have put something very un-Marin in her lunchbox, and she would have had a great lunch. But it can be that simple, willing to be a bad mom. Somebody's going to judge you. If you're okay with that judgment from your, 5-year-old daughter, 8-year-old daughter, if you're okay with receiving that judgment, just receiving it, not making it real for you, so you can choose what works for you. Because if you're trying to avoid somebody's judgment, you're going to put yourself in the little box of mediocre as a parent, and you'll never be able to offer your children the greatness you probably really would like to offer them as a possibility in your life. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. So it's a great tool. It's a great one to go like, okay, right. And then it's also a wonderful manipulation for our children when they judge us. It's like, oh my God, you're right. I am so bad at this parenting thing. I have no idea how to do it. I'll never be able to get this right. I am such a bad parent. And usually what happens is they go, oh no, you're a great mom. Don't say that. But none of it's true. Their judgment's not true. Me being a bad mom or a good mom's not true. But I have just stopped. When you're willing to be that, you stop in your tracks. It doesn't have to affect you. You can start choosing what's great for you. There's another story about that. My daughters, I put the wrong lunches in their lunchbox when they were older. I gave one a tuna fish sandwich and one a peanut butter and jelly. And they both hate the other one. So when I picked them up at school, they were like, ah! Their lives were over. We didn't even get to eat. How could you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And they were just at me in the backseat of the car. I was about to just go, shut up and eat whatever you get. That was kind of the energy I wanted. Who do you think you are? You got lunch. There's starving children in China. Shut up. And instead I went, okay. Bad mom thing. This is time for bad mom thing. You're like, oh my God, you guys, I am so sorry. I'm so bad at putting lunches together. I'm a terrible mom. I just can't do this. I don't know how to get your lunches right. Can you guys help me? I'm terrible at this. I don't think I ever had to make their lunches It was awesome. They helped me. So what creates more me resisting and reacting to being a bad parent and trying to prove I'm not, or just being, okay, I'm a bad parent, I'll go along with it, and that created more for me. So what are you willing to be that you're pretending you can never be that would actually create more for you and your family? And everything that doesn't allow that, we just trying to create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pot, all shorts, boys and beyond. Thank you for that question. Does that kind of help? Yeah, and if you can get them together to uncreate and destroy the relationship, that may help also. And the less you resist and react to their fighting, the more space there's going to be around that. And what does work for you and doesn't work for you. Like you said, if they're fighting outside, it's okay. So maybe if they fight, just go, okay, outside. But being willing to be the question of what's going to change it, what's going to work for you, it may look really, really weird. And be willing to be really weird with changing that kind of dynamics. My daughters were fighting once physically, arguing and being really mean to each other, like 10 and maybe both just 10 and 6, something like that. The older one's bigger, so they were kind of matched sort of for size. And one punched the other or something, or kicked at the other. They were sitting on a couch together, and I was like, I'm gonna go break it up, like you're supposed to do as a parent. And it wasn't the energy, so I just followed the energy of what this weird thing. I was like, you didn't even kick her hard. Like, what are you doing? Like, give her a good punch. If you guys are gonna fight, do it right. You guys took karate. You're way better at this stuff than you're acting. And they both looked at me like I was crazy, and they started laughing. And I didn't do it that tongue in cheek. I was kind of serious, like, you didn't punch her at all. Like, you can do better than that. You guys took karate. Like, if you're gonna fight, do it. And they looked at me like, who's this insane woman in my house? But that would be like a bad mom would say that. But willing to have the judgment that how could you tell your kids to fight each other? They started giggling and laughing, and the fight was over. There was no punching or kicking that ever happened after that. So be willing to be bizarre and outside the box, and if you get that's light to be that way and parent this other weird way, if it changes it and it works, like, how's it get better than that? Cool. Yeah.
Glenna, what would it take to protect our children to bad environment, like friends not so good, not to smoke, not to drink, not to go in dangerous places?
Yeah, good question. That's another one of my favorite parenting tools. The best protection for your children is awareness.
Yeah.
So, consciousness, awareness of everything. And, that's to receive everything with no judgment is how you become aware of everything, to not judge and not to cut anything off. When we go into protecting our children from this fear-based place or something bad's going to happen, we cut off their awareness. Ours also. But when you're afraid for your children, fear is not really real. Fear is a distraction from something you know. There could be something dangerous that creates the fear, but there could be nothing dangerous that creates this projection of fear. But either way, you don't know what it is, right? Either way, you don't know what it is you're aware of because you're doing fear. So fear will keep you from having that awareness. As a parent, if you have that awareness, you have a lot more ability to protect your children. Okay, so I love this tool, and I've used it since they were little. And it's been extraordinary over the years. The best protection is awareness. I give them awareness. So I know they're not going to go into those situations unless they totally choose it, which they would do anyway. But they will have the awareness not to go down that dark alley, not to go party with those kids. And I've seen it over and over with my 3 kids now that they really do choose from awareness. I've never cut off their knowing because I was afraid for them. When you're afraid, there's some energy of fear that they have to look at. If something's bad, and if there's nothing bad, that's totally confusing because there's nothing to be scared of. And if there is something to be worried and concerned or be aware of that could be dangerous, they're looking at the fear, not what that is. So I always ask my kids what they were aware of. And when I had that energy of fear, I would ask, what is this? Are they going to be okay? Now, this is a story I've told many times. When Roisin was 3, this was that Costa Rica trip I told you guys about. So she started jumping into the deep end of the pool, and she's never had a swimming lesson. And I gave the other one swimming lessons right away, but now this is my 3rd kid, so she's not getting nearly as much stuff as the older 2 did because the activities, I got too many kids to do the activities I was doing. It was a little bit, I should have taught her swimming lessons. She's jumping in this pool. It's the deep end. And I'm like, you can't let a 3-year-old that doesn't know how to swim jump in the deep end. And then I got, okay. I asked a question, is she going to be okay? And it was really light. It was a yes. It was a huge yes. So I watched her without fear. She's going to be okay, but I'm here. She jumped. She'd wiggle herself back to the side in this weird way, and she'd crawl out, jump again, crawl out. By the end, she was swimming. Taught herself how to swim. You know, and this is her. And with so much fun and joy, like the joy of embodiment she had with teaching her how to swim, what that was for her and her cute little body and the smile on her face and the determination to teach herself how to swim. If I'd been afraid, I would have stopped all of that. But I didn't need to be afraid because there's nothing to be afraid of. I asked, truth, is she going to be okay? Is she going to drown? No. Is she going to be okay? Yes. That awareness is way more fun than fear.
Totally.
Fear would have just pulled her out of the pool. You can't jump in there. Young lady, don't go in the pool. Don't jump in the pool. You need to stay in the shallow end. You don't know, you know, that kind of stuff would have stopped her. And if I got to the fear place, I would have pulled her out instead of allowing her. But I've used this with everything from their first day of kindergarten when I can do the freak out. That's also good, great. Who does it belong to? Because every other mother is doing the kindergarten thing. To going out with friends that I thought weren't great. Are they going to be okay going out tonight with these friends? And once or twice I've gotten a no. Most of the time I've gotten a yes. They're going to be fine. They're going to be okay. Driving, the first time they went driving on their own. Or teaching them how to drive when I'm in the car. Are we going to be okay? Yes, okay. I'll just sit here. You're doing a great job. And the times were with friends or parties or something they were going out on. And I went and I said, something's weird about tonight. Is everything cool? Is tonight going to be okay? Are you, is something, you know, weird? There's something weird about it. And they would go, oh yeah, it is totally weird, Mom. I'm not going. So they had the awareness, instead of me going into fear, instead of the question, they had the awareness of it too. So I never even had to have a conversation once. You shouldn't go out with those friends.
You asked the question to them when they.
I asked them like more like, there's something weird. Like, what's going on tonight? Is it going to be fun? Are you going to, like, what's going on? And they'd already had the awareness they weren't going. The times that I got no, they're not going to be okay tonight. That's ease with parenting, right? I mean, I said, I get on the airplane. Is it going to be okay? Is this plane going to get me where I'm going? Yes or no? You get on a plane, and there's a lot of fear in those planes. There's a lot of people that are afraid, and I'm like, okay, it's not my fear. Let me ask the plane what it's going to do. The energy of the plane, and it'll be yes. We're getting you to where you're going. I flew. This is crazy, but I flew into Houston about 5 hours before the hurricane hit 2 weeks ago. I was flying out of Costa Rica to Houston, and I was looking for all these other ways to get around, and I kept getting, yes, it's going to be okay. And I was going, but this is insane. Nobody flies into a hurricane. What if I'm stuck in Houston for days? And I kept getting, it was okay. Okay, it's light, it's light. I've always followed what's light. This was one of the hardest ones I've ever had to follow that I remember in all these years I've been using these tools to fly into Houston when the map's showing a massive hurricane coming right to there. And I've got to get a connecting flight and then fly out. I can get in, but am I going to get out 2 hours later? And my plane flew away as the rain started falling. So what if you do know the future? What if your kids know their future? What can you be and do to allow them to have access to what their future is going to be like?
I love that question.
Yeah. And what I'm seeing with my kids now, they were kind of this test run. I was using these tools, but I don't know. It's light. It's more fun. Going to Costa Rica, that was fun. All these things would show up, and it was like, okay, that was greater than I imagined. That was really cool. I just used this tool. But now I've got a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old and a 13-year-old who are freaking phenomenal. They're phenomenal kids. And it's not like we don't fight and we don't have teenage stuff and all the other stuff, but there's a lot of ease with it. I don't make it that significant. But what I'm seeing about them that I'm so grateful for is they have a confidence in what they choose that's extraordinary. And I've always asked them about their future. Like, what if you choose that, what's it going to create? And they choose with an ease that I don't see any teenagers and 20-year-olds having. None of their friends have that. Their friends doubt what they're doing.
They're afraid to choose anything.
Yeah, then their friends, they're choosing what they're supposed to. They're going to colleges. You know, my daughter was like, I want to go to college in Ireland. I said, okay, what's that going to create? We both giggled. I said, okay, let's do it. Whatever you need to support that. And I'll tell you, her Irish family here is freaked out. They're like, you can't come to Ireland on your own. There's a bad neighborhood. You're not going to make it. You're 19 and da-da-da-da-da. And that doesn't even faze her. She's like, no, this is what I want to do. This is going to create my future. If you choose that, what's your future going to be like? If you don't choose that, what's your future going to be like? Allowing you, and this is just the light and heavy. You look at it, it's like, oh, if I don't choose it, my future goes, me. If I do choose it, goes, oh, choose that one. You can always unchoose it 10 seconds later. You go, oh, well, maybe that doesn't work. If I choose this other thing, it goes like that. I'll choose that. And they all choose this way. And they choose things that contribute to their life. It's pretty amazing looking now going, oh, yeah, I chose to do these crazy tools, and now this stuff is showing up. I'm really grateful for all of that. I mean, I didn't have a win like that. And my youngest has the most ease. We never, you know, she was a year. I don't know if she has the most ease. She bees the tools, and she doesn't have to ask the question. She's just in. This is lighter, that's lighter. I'm doing this. What would it take for that to show up? She never says it out loud. It just whatever she's asking shows up pretty easily. She bees this consciousness, and she doesn't function from judgment. And she's a gift to me all the time. Yeah, Soren, yes.
So I'm not a parent.
No. But you had one. That was the only prerequisite for this class,
yeah.
right? To have a parent.
And I've been just like looking over everything that I kind of would like to change with my parents, my brothers, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how I can use all the tools.
Yeah.
That you've just given to parents.
Right. Because they apply to everything.
Yeah.
Just parents. Yeah.
And yet there's something where that there sometimes is when it's our stuff. It's like, what the fuck tool do I use here? And this, I've always been the one, like since I was little, that was to take care of.
And you were the oldest too, did you say that? Yeah.
Yeah, but even my mom and dad kind of like, at least I had to kind of like not exist because my younger brothers were fucking ill, and it was, there was a lot.
So you were kind of like a caregiver, like were you kind of like the parent to your parents and your brothers and sisters? Or brothers? I don't know.
Well, basically, there's something recently, my mom works in a kind of like hospital home where we have kids with cancer and their families can stay there. And she showed me a book and talked about something they call shadow kids, which is the sibling to the ill child. And I looked her straight in the eyes and I told her, that's what I was. And she just laughed and was like, and I was like, okay, so that's what I was. And there's something that.
So you're kind of saying you were the one that didn't get noticed as much because your younger siblings were sickly?
I had to basically not exist for several years.
What was so right about that? You're not getting it. This is when we're kind of bummed about something that may have a different possibility. It's a great question because it'll open up a little crack at something.
Yeah.
So was that actually your point of view, or someone else? That you didn't exist? I'm just curious. I'm asking because I'm not sure what.
It's more when there's a lot of, and I know about other things that may not be for the last 10 minutes, but there's things where I've been like, okay, basically I wasn't there, right? And there wasn't space for me, and at the same time I had to be space for the others. So I basically just wandered off on my own all the time. Because it was like.
Okay. So how much do you like being alone?
Not that much. Like I like it and I don't like it. Like I require people in my life. And I require fun and I require contact and all that stuff.
Okay, and do you require alone time also?
Yeah.
Did that give you the alone time that was required? Being in that having that job in your family?
I was basically alone for years, so yeah.
But there was still people in your house.
Yeah, I just wasn't really.
I'm gonna ask it again. What's so right about this you're not getting? Everything that just was, all of that stuff, you just trying to create all of that?
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Who gave you this job in the family?
Good question. Yeah, okay, I get my dad.
Okay, do you still want it? Did you want it?
And I've been looking at that, and I was
Yeah.
like, no. And then later, I remember like kind of being aware of that I was it, and then being like, okay, so I'm gonna do this, and almost being proud of it.
Right, that's
Yeah.
more the energy that what's so right about it.
Yeah,
Was this required of you in the family?
very much.
Okay. Were you being responsible, responding appropriately to?
Yeah.
Okay, so all of that. So who does that belong to? The
Mm,
mom, dad, someone else?
it's very heavy.
Yeah. Is it yours? That,
No.
No.
And I really want to keep it.
Was this at all more ease for you being that than you've ever acknowledged? Possibly? Was it more ease?
It's like it was, and it doesn't work. Like my mom is stuck in the story kind of also, and keeps trying to be like, see, like when my dad dies, her first response was, well, now you're the oldest, so you decide. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that has no place on earth. Like, what is this? And I saw her getting like, yeah, just.
Okay, so
basically-
here's the. What if you weren't a victim of it? What if you weren't the effect of it? Like, what part of this did you choose? You're not acknowledging.
Yeah.
I mean, you did choose somewhere to be the oldest son in that family.
Yeah.
And those brothers and sisters that came in, you kind of knew about them. So you chose it. So
There was a
what?
lot of them who didn't come in.
Who didn't
They were
come
there, and then they actually never got to be a kid. Like she lost them.
Oh, miscarriages, or they
There was
died?
like 5 or 6.
Okay. But that was. Oh, that's a whole different.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say, what do you love about being a victim of this?
Yeah.
You get to be like your brothers and sisters. They were
Say
all-
that again.
Well, they got to be victims of something. They were sickly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this how you get to be one too?
It's light.
I had to be the oldest. I had to take care of everybody. I mean, you're not being that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it was like when you said it, like.
Yeah. So what if that's not required?
Yeah.
It was obviously valuable in your family to have a victim story, but what if you don't have to have it?
Yeah.
And your mom seems to be trying to give you yours.
Yeah. She it's not easy for her that I.
Well, she seems to like those kind of stories.
Yeah.
She had a bunch of kids with them, and then she's got this older son who doesn't seem to
she's
have a
still
victim
playing
story.
with it, and it's
So what
fucking
victim
annoying.
story can she
Yeah.
gift you? Maybe
Okay, Jeffrey,
she's
thanks.
just trying to be really
Yeah.
kind and give you one.
Yeah, and it pisses me off when she chooses it. Like when she chooses victim, I'm more and more like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like I don't want to be around you when you do it. So yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Cool. So that's a little opening.
Thanks.
So everywhere you were, it was all projected on you that you needed to be a victim too, and everything about your family and everything you bought about that whole story.
Yeah.
Story you created about that. Then you can just play with it. Oh my God, Mom, I can't believe your life. My life is as bad as yours. I don't even know how I could even be here. I don't know how you do it.
I could see her face when you said it. She would be so confused.
It's a great, and you use it with kids too, when kids are like in their whole victim story. It's like, oh my God, your life is so horrible. I don't even know how you do it. If I had life like you, I don't even fucking be here.
So it's
And they
kind
kind
of,
of look like, what? That's not the response I'm supposed to get.
so that is kind of like the same thing you do. Like, I'm just a short one. My dad died of cancer, and a lot of people around us are getting cancer. And my mom went into, oh my God, blah blah blah. Everybody around me gets cancer, and what if I have something to do with it? And that would basically be the same. Yeah, because I looked at her and I told her, yeah, because you're that powerful. Like, it's your decision that they get cancer. And she was like, okay, it is.
You're
So
gonna mess
that
with
would
your
be same
mom.
of the same kind of the
It's
same
a
regime
manipulation.
thing,
Yeah. The manipulation gets a bad rap, but when you manipulate, what you're doing is you can use force with kids or force in relationships and be loud and mean or hold a gun to someone's head and get him to do stuff. Or you can use manipulation and get the same thing to show up, and both of you guys are doing it together, because you cannot manipulate anybody that doesn't want to be manipulated.
Yeah.
So you can use these tools, and I say manipulation because manipulation is just playing with the energies. You know, you manipulate clay when you make a sculpture. You're manipulating, you're changing the energy so they work. And you can't manipulate someone that doesn't want to be. You can even say to someone you're doing these tools, like, I'm just manipulating. They'll laugh and still go along with it. Because it's an ease that you can change things with manipulation. Everything you've done where you judge manipulative people or doing manipulation is a wrongness and you shouldn't manipulate, because I've used this a few times. We're just trying to create all of that. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what would it take for you to out manipulate your children? That's what I did. Willing to be a bad mom is out manipulating my children. They're trying to tell me I'm so wrong with the sandwiches thing. And I was willing to out manipulate them by agreeing that I'm a bad mom. And then this was gone. The energy was changed. No yelling, no force, no control required, just changing the energy by willing to speak to what they could hear that could change it. Cool. Thanks for that. A little lighter?
Yeah. There's
Okay, we're, 8:30, so I'll take another question. Yeah.
About sexual education.
Sexual education.
Because it's possible to, my family wants to hire to like medical doctor in a school, and I'm asked to do lecture.
Your family's going to do the lecture?
No,
No.
my family wants to go to hire to take a job. Not my family are totally disagree with my access thing.
Okay.
And they want to go to a school to be a doctor for the children from the school, and I'm asked to do.
So who wants to get in a job to be a doctor for the school? You?
No.
Your family wants you to.
Yes.
They want you to take a job,
Yes.
and you don't want it.
No.
Okay.
And at the school, I must to do this lecture, like
Sex education?
Sex education. And I think it's difficult for normal people not access to live in question. How can I?
What can you say in the lecture that you're going to do?
Yes.
But you don't want to do this job, or you do?
No.
What's it going to create if you choose it? Will it create more for your future if you choose it, or less? What if you knew? You either know, you're pretending you don't know, or you're denying you know what you know. Because no one else knows but you. It's your future. So if you choose to do this lecture, will it create more? If you don't choose to do it, will it create more? Do it, don't do it.
Awful to choose.
Awful to choose it?
I am for me.
Okay, then don't do it. Can you say no?
No.
Is that true?
Because we live together, and my family support me a lot.
What would happen if you don't do it? Will they kick you out? I mean, it's just a choice. It's a choice.
Yes, my mother did tell me, if you will not listen to me, I will die. My parents, my father told me.
Sorry.
My father, oh, I can't sleep all the night because of you. How can you? They
So,
don't get
so,
access.
the distractor implants, telecall, and so distractor implants are things that distract us from awareness, and blame, shame, regret, and guilt are huge ones. All of those, blame, shame, regret, and guilt, they're doing all of those things to you. They're creating, you're feeling guilty, they're trying to create guilt, they're blaming you, she's gonna die if you don't do this. And they're only gonna regret it, and all, la. So these are all distractor implants that you're buying into. You might want to read that book again. I'm getting all these Skype things. Or listen to the call, or go through them again.
There's a book.
Yeah, beyond, yeah, okay.
Is it also for when you have the idea that you have to, as daughter, to owe it to your parents to care for them?
That would be a guilt trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how can you outcreate this? How can you manipulate the situation so it works for you? And what would it take for you to choose what works for you? Like, just choose it. You don't have to do it. Choose, okay, this thing is heavy if I do it. I'm choosing not to do it. And see what shows up. Because right now you're not even willing to choose either. You don't want to choose anything. You're choosing, you don't want them to, you want to choose to not make them guilty or something. But there's no choice here. You're denying your choice. And the only thing you really have, that you always have, that everyone always has, is choice. All the time, choice creates. Once you choose something, like the Costa Rica trip I did at the beginning, I chose to go. Once you choose, it creates something. Okay?
I choose to go in Costa Rica, but it's impossible for me. Nobody taught me. I have plans. My parents has money to give me, but they don't want to give me.
Are they giving it to you? Are they? Don't want to and doing it are two different things. Are they giving you money, yes or no? You know that. Are they?
No.
You're not making money and they're letting you live at their house. They don't give you any money? Do they give you money? Have they given you money?
I don't understand you.
Oh.
Repeat the question, please.
Okay. Do your parents give you money?
Yes, they give me.
Okay, cool. Even though they don't want to, they're still doing it. How's it get better than that?
But
No buts. You don't lie, you tell them what they can hear, which is not a lie. What can they hear that'll create more ease for you? They like to make you feel guilty. Feel really guilty around them. I feel so bad. I'm gonna probably kill you guys. I'm not gonna do the lecture and I feel so bad. I'm going to bed. I feel so bad. I have to sleep. I can't do it. That's what they could hear. What if you didn't fight their guilt trip and just went along with it? I am the worst daughter you've ever had.
Tell your mom that you will die before her.
Yes.
There you go. I am such a bad daughter. I should die before you, so you don't have to be burdened with me anymore. See, it's making you laugh and smile. That's a lightness. You don't have to say any of these things, but what if you were that energy and stopped fighting the guilt trip they want? We're in Ireland. People understand guilt trips here. Yeah. There's a few people with Irish mothers here.
And I don't speak too much with my daughters about sexual life.
Okay, do they want to hear it from you?
They called me I'm old woman communist.
I don't know why that's really funny. It's not that funny, but it's kind of funny. So your daughters are your jealous daughters are calling you a communist, and your parents are guilt tripping you for not doing a sex lecture. What would it take for you to have a life that works for you? And can you acknowledge that you're choosing it? You are here in Dublin, Ireland, taking this class, right? You are choosing a life that works for you. Be willing to speak to what they can hear. It will work for you. If your life works for you, they will be fine. They're going to be fine. If you don't do the lecture, they'll be fine. And if your life works for you, you may inspire them to have something else. Okay? Okay, cool. Interesting family, these shows. What's so right about your family you're not getting? If they have money, cool, and they're giving it to you, be grateful for it however it shows up. They don't want to give it to me, but they are. That's a good thing. That's creating more for you. And how else can you have money? How else can you create money for you in your life besides that? What other ways can you create money? Okay. All right. Thank you guys for coming. Any other last? Are you guys good?
I have one question.
Okay.
I have a 3-year-old, and to me, she's very, very powerful little girl.
Yeah, she got you guys here.
But she has tantrums as any normal 3-year-old. But me and my partner have this like timeout step. But when I put her on it, I don't feel good about putting her on it.
Yeah.
And she just goes mental when I put her on it. Like, I mean, she could cry for 3 hours. I wouldn't let her cry, but like if I didn't go back to her, she would just sit there and cry for 3 hours. But I just would love to know how to handle her better.
Okay, so there's a few things. Like one of the things, temper tantrums, whatever they want for the temper tantrum.
But like I could literally ruin her life by picking the wrong shoes or
Yeah,
putting her toast in half or something like really ridiculous.
Right. Well, you heard that I'm willing to be a bad mom thing. I said you can use that with her at 3. It'll work. Oh yeah, you're right. I don't know how to do shoes. I'm really a bad mom. Can you help me with this? Help me know what shoes to get for you. The other thing with temper tantrums is it's a manipulation. Like she's manipulating you to get what she wants. You got to let her know that manipulation is never going to work. If she wants what she wants, she's got to do something different. Like saying, so my kids would do the temper tantrums, and I wouldn't, I mean, yeah, if they were sobbing with the kind of sobs, I'd pick them up and hold them, but whatever they were asking for, they didn't get for the temper tantrum. But if they'd asked me for it in any other way, they would have gotten it. Okay. So if they wanted a certain pair of shoes or whatever, and if the temper tantrum or the meanness or the bitchiness or the mean to mom thing started to show up, I would say, you know, this is never going to work. What could you actually do that would get you what you wanted? Because you're never going to get it this way. And if you're clear on it, you know, she's 3, so she's been doing this for maybe a little bit. But if you're clear on that energy, like you be that. This doesn't work for me. For you to be this way. I just heard a really cool conversation that was a little different about timeouts. A timeout is not like you need to go in this place where it's bad. It's like you need to go somewhere else until you can pull yourself together because I don't want to be around you like this. Do you perceive the different energy than that? You're not bad and wrong and getting stuck in a timeout because you're wrong. It's like you need to go there away from me because this is no fun for me and you need to sort this out, get yourself together, and as soon as you're okay, you can come back. So give them the choice of when their timeout is over with the tantrum. They choose it. Like as soon as you're together and you stop crying, you can come out of your room.
Yeah, because I kind of hover around her. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're ready to talk to me yet? You'd be like, no! I'm like, okay. Yeah, she'd be like, I don't want you anymore, Mommy.
I don't want you anymore. She's good.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
She's really good. What would it take for you to upgrade your daughter? I'm manipulate her. And know that for you, because this is probably not going to end. She's already this way at 3. You do have a really powerful kid. You know, and I've had parents that come in. I mean, I haven't met her and I haven't seen her, so these are just ideas you can try. And choice creates awareness. Choose one. Be willing to choose anything. Choose a spanking. Choose a timeout. Choose a I'm going to yell at her, choose I'm going to ignore her, choose I'm going to give her everything you want, and the choice will create something. And whatever, if it doesn't work, don't choose it again. Okay, she's kind of doing that with you. She's like, okay, this choice works. Temper tantrums, mom does everything I want. She always does it. This choice works. If you cut that off and it doesn't work anymore, she can choose something else too. And you can let her know. So my middle daughter, who's the best manipulator in the family, she's so good at it. And if she's bitchy, and when she was teenager and she asked for stuff that way, it was like, no. And I'm like, you could ask me different. And she'd be like that, Mommy, you're the best mommy ever, and I love you so much. And I'm like, that's the one that
does do that though. It's so weird. Like if I said, no, you have to ask mom, and she's like, please, mommy, can I have my Dodie or whatever she wants? And she can just switch on and off.
Well, so let her know that one works. Because that for me, it was like, if they asked me that way, I'd go, yeah, Saoirse, that's the one to use if you want something. And it's okay to spoil our children. It's okay to give them everything they ask for.
Yeah.
It actually shows them that they can grow up and have everything they ask for and create everything they ask for. When I didn't have the money for them, like they wanted a Game Boy or some play or something, I'd say, that's cool. How can that show up? How can we get that? I can't pay for it right now, but what would it take to have that?
It's so funny you say that because I say to her sometimes, like, you can't always have everything you want.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Well, it was said to me, Dad.
I get everything out of the same. That's what said to me.
I heard the same thing.
Oh, he's not here.
But what's funny about that phrase, because we've all heard, how many of you guys have heard you can't get everything you want? Okay, so it's said to everybody. And we just say the same thing to our kids. Is that what that ends up creating is you actually denying all the things you can ask for. Because ask and you receive is one of the truths. Like in the Bible, it's probably like really one of the main truths. Like ask and you receive. If you ask and you don't have judgments and barriers and all this other stuff I've talked about, almost anything is possible. And allowing our kids to know that does not make spoiled children. What it's turning out with my kids is they go, oh yeah, I want to go to this college. Oh yeah, I want this job. Oh yeah, I want that new pair of shoes. Oh yeah, I want that. Ask and they receive. I'm not giving it to them. They create it in the most amazing ways. They do some body work sometimes in the classes, and my daughter wanted a whole new computer system to play her online gaming because she was like this amazing rock star at some online game. She got paid. The people watched her play, and she made some money out of it. But she went and created $4,000 in 7 days, and bought the whole computer system by doing, in the big access classes. She was working on people doing some of the body work we do. She's like, okay, mom's not paying for it. What would it take to get $5,000 or $4,000? Ask and she receives. And they know that's real for them. So everywhere you go. So I want you guys to say, what was the thing? You can't get everything you ask for 3 times. You can't get everything you ask for. You can't get everything you ask for. Okay, and so in all the chicken implants and explants, all of that in place. So there's these secret hidden things. It's a dropout phrase, and it's something that societies tell you. You want to destroy and create everything that is. Yeah. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, online shorts, boys and beyonds, because you actually can. And if they ask for stuff that you can't do, say, okay, what would it take for us to have that show up? What would it take to get that? Or if it's like maybe a few things, you give them something you can't afford, right? So they can go, if I ask for it, the universe will provide it. Right now, mom does a lot of the providing, or maybe grandpa does, granddad provides it. Okay. And they end up, so she's going to school in Dublin, and she knew what it costs to live here at about $1,000 a month for rent. This tuition is, she's getting Irish rates because she's a citizen here. So that's pretty low. Free school, get that. Pretty amazing to go to school in Ireland. She told me it's like €700 for the year, and I was like free. She's actually saving me probably $100,000 by going to school here. But the living expenses is $1,000 a month. So in January, and this is a girl that didn't do great in school, never really worked except for these other jobs when she wanted money. Because, oh, I need to make $15,000 to pay for next year's living expenses. January, she starts working 3 jobs, 7 days a week. She didn't have a day off, and ended up with like $15,000, $16,000 between then and now at 19. Because that's what was required to get what she was asking for. And she's willing to be and do whatever it takes to have and get what she's choosing and asking for. So when you actually let them have what they ask for, that's what ends up showing up in their future. They don't become spoiled. They get that, oh, I can create whatever I'm asking And I've really seen the difference. I mean, I've really seen it. All three of them are that way. And they ask really big and cool, like bigger than I did. And what else can they ask for? They inspire me. It's like, wow, I need to ask bigger. Look what my kids can do. So that can help too. Then you don't have to have the fight. It's like, Mom, can I have this? And you're like, okay, let's see what we can do to get that. I mean, some stuff they're asking is not going to show up right now. You know, like they keep saying, my youngest, can I have a dog? And I'm like, sure, you can have a dog. But to get a dog, we need to buy a new house. Our landlord isn't going to let us have dogs. We have to move, all this kind of stuff. But sure, you can have a new dog. All this other stuff that's required, go for it. You know, maybe I'll win a lottery and buy a house. I don't know what can show up. I'm not going to stop her. But I still say, okay, sure, you can have a dog. It's not a no. It's not just right now. And you can certainly have a dog when you move out. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the temper tantrums, yeah, what other manipulations could you show her she could be to get what she's asking for that's not that? That one's not fun. And they're not fun on the kids.
She'll tell me, she'll say, oh, I feel sad. I feel, what she said, I'm a bit sad, Mom, when she's crying.
Yeah.
I'm staying and I said, what's happening when you're sad? She was like, oh, I don't know. But then when everything's calmed down, she's like, oh, I'm sorry for doing that. Because she actually, sometimes she throws herself and whacks her head off.
Yeah,
whatever.
she's doing a good one. You can try that. Who does it belong to? Well, is that sadness yours or someone else's? Because she might be aware of other people's sadness. A lot of people are sad walking around the world. I mean, my youngest, when she was 2, I used it all the time with her. Is that yours or someone else's? About things, because she kind of was doing OCD stuff and other things. And it totally helped her not have to know who she was and what her energy and her awareness was. So that you can try that one when she says, I'm sad. Say, well, is that your sadness or someone else? And they'll say crazy things like, oh yeah, my best friend or my girl at school or the kid at school was like, their mom came in crying. They'll like get it. And then that helps us. It's like, wow, this stuff worked on a 2-year-old. It worked on me or 3-year-old. Okay, cool. Great questions. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna let you guys get out of here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can we'll send you the recordings or the video of this, so you'll have that. So make sure we have your emails and stuff and more information about who you can contact. And Rachel over here, if you want to talk to someone local that knows about access, it's this lady with the crazy daughter and mother, grandmother. Yeah, she lives here in Dublin, and she can connect if you want to have kind of information. And you'll have my email in the thing, so you can always email me if you have questions about tonight. Okay. What? Oh, I forgot to tell you guys all that. Wow, thank you for the reminder. For all of you guys who are really interested in Gary Douglas is doing a telecall Conscious Parenting, Conscious Kids. It does have prerequisites. It's foundation. I think it's foundation. Could be more. Starting on the 15th at 6 different telecalls, you go to the accessconsciousness.com website to find out more about that. If you want to have more, I would totally, you know, if you're a parent and you want more information, everything I'm talking about on this, I got from him, who had 4 kids, and he used these tools on his kids, and then I came along and he, you know, there was all this information he was able to get to me, and most of his parenting class I've been teaching came from the tools he gifted to me and to other parents. So what he hasn't done one of these calls since I started doing this work. He did a parenting class just before I started, so it's been over 12 years since he's really done a class, Conscious Parenting, Conscious Kids, on his own. He's definitely spoken about it and been on other telecalls here and there. This is going to be just Gary for 6 calls. Highly recommend that to all of you guys. It's coming up here in a week.
And
The
Glenn
15th.
has a YouTube channel, so if you want, she's got tons of free stuff on there. So if you have questions or
Yeah.
tools, check out our website or check out YouTube and search for Glenna Rice.
GlennaRice.com/parenting will give you my parenting card. Or GlennaRice.com. AccessConsciousness.com/Glenna. Dr. Glenna Rice gets you my other workshops and classes. Just plug myself. It'll be on the emails too. You'll get that stuff. But I highly, highly, highly recommend Gary's call if you guys want more of this. I'm so excited about what he's going to say and what he's going to offer.
Right, and we'll, in the next 24-ish hours, I'll be sending out a link to the video replay and a link so you can download the recording. So you can listen again because there's probably 8 million things that you didn't hear tonight that you might want to hear next time you listen.
Is there anyone who's walking and go to the left?
Thanks for everybody, guys. See you in the morning.
I guess it went later.
Yes, it did, 2 hours.
Yeah, it started a little late.
That's true.